Here at Airsoft GI, we talk about gas pistols, sometimes we talk about gas rifles, even gas shotguns, but what about gas SMGs? What's going on, Mail Gang? Boaz here, and today we're going to be talking about, I would guess you would say, a little bit of a neglected side of the airsoft hobby, and that would be the gas-powered SMG. And boy, are they super fun to shoot and to own. And today we're going to be going over my top 5 personal picks for the best gas-powered SMGs that we have at AirsoftGI.com. The first gas-powered SMG on our list is going to be the GNG SMC9. Going off in no particular order. Actually, no, there is an order. I'm going to go from, I guess you say, the cool gas SMGs out there, going all the way to the coolest gas SMGs that we have at Airsoft GI. But starting off with the GNG SMC9, without further ado, just starting out from the front, you have this nice aluminum M-lock rail system, and you have your ambidextrous side charging handle, which is super sick. And then moving down towards the main body of the gun, you have this full-length Picatinny top rail with their included flip-up iron sights, so you could aim down your sights out of the box, which is nice. And you have this really nice side-folding polymer stock, which kind of looks, in a way, sort of kind of looks like an MPX or an MCX stock, which I think looks super dope. But moving down towards the bottom of the frame, this is using GNG's GTP9 pistol platform, so it's pretty much just the GTP9 pistol stuck inside this SMC9 kit. So the lower frame is pretty much identical to the GTP9, and they give you that extended magazine out of the box. You have a full ambidextrous fire control system. I do believe you do get, yes, you do get that ambidextrous slide release, as well as the ambidextrous magazine release, which is cool. However, the safety itself is, I think it's just one-sided, but you can activate it with either hand. But also, one thing that's cool about the main body of the SMC9 is that you do have a fire selector from semi-auto to full auto. And let me tell you, with the gas SMG, you gotta be shooting full auto for full effect. One of the cool things about the SMC9 is that if you pull back the side charging handle, you'll see that there's an ejection port that opens up. However, if I finagle this gun a little bit real quick, you can actually get this thing to open up both sides of the ejection port, so you can completely see through the action of your gun. I mean, you can see my little finger wiggling through here, which is an interesting feature. It's kind of cool to look at. However, I would probably recommend closing one of these sides, just so that way it reduces the amount of dust or dirt that might get into the system of the gun. But with all that being said, with all that Picatinny rail space on the top and all the M-lock space here on the handguard, I mean, your options are endless to completely kit this thing out, and you could rock this thing as a primary if you want to. Another cool thing is that if you really wanted to, you could actually take this thing apart and turn it back into a regular GNG GTP9. Here at the bottom, they do have this little hinge that you could open up, and if you press the takedown lever here on the frame of the pistol, you can completely separate it into two parts. So you have your GTP9 frame. So if you wanted to have, if you have a spare GTP9 slide assembly around for what reason, I don't know, you can actually just convert this thing back into a regular airsoft pistol. But why would you do that when you have this amazing looking SMG system already good to go out of the box? Internally, the SMC9 is pretty much using all of its own proprietary parts, which is kind of sad because none of it is TM compatible. However, I will say that GNG has done a good job at supporting this platform right out the gate, because out of the box, the GNG SMC9 shoots pretty hot. It shoots well over the 350 FPS limit that a lot of indoor fields require. So GNG has decided to release low power nozzles, as well as some other aftermarket bits to accommodate whatever your field requires, which is really good to see. I'd say shooting this thing, the performance on this thing, the hop-up unit is pretty fantastic. You can actually reach out and touch people pretty far away on the airsoft field, and I love how it feels. Even in semi-auto, it kind of feels like you're shooting a gas blowback pistol, like a really snappy high cap. I would like to say it's very responsive when you pull that trigger, and especially in full auto. I mean, this 50 round extended mag, it goes by really, really fast. If you think 50 rounds is not enough on this SMC9, you would be correct, because honestly, it's not. Which is why GNG released their 300 round gas powered drum magazine for aftermarket support. I mean, a 300 round gas powered magazine, I mean, you don't see that very often in airsoft. And if you do pick one up, I would highly advise to kind of cool it with that full auto, because if you do long bursts of full auto on the drum mag, you're going to cool down the magazine and you're going to lose your rate of fire. But If you don't want the drum magazine, that's totally fine. The SMC9 is completely compatible with G&G's standard GTP9 magazine, as long as they're 50 round extendos and the drum mag, so you got a lot of options available to you. But you may be wondering, how much does this SMC9 cost? Well, right now at airsoftgi.com, the G&G SMC9 retails for $369. Nice. And make sure to take advantage of the Wombo combo for free shipping and reward store credit. I love the futuristic look of the SMC9. It totally looks something like a space cop or space SWAT gun. Honestly, especially with the right attachments on this thing, I think it'll look absolutely killer on the airsoft field, and totally a very viable way to run as a primary if you want to run a gas SMG. Again, you don't see that very often on the airsoft field. But enough talking about this. Next gun. The next gas-powered SMG on my list is going to be, of course, the KWA KMP9 NS2. Do you honestly think I wouldn't include a KWA gun in my list? Of course, I have to, and especially for a gun as iconic as the KMP9. I mean, this gun has been around for a very long time. Even when I was starting out playing airsoft as a 13-year-old, this KMP9 was the apple of my eye, and when I finally had the chance to own one for a while, it just feels so amazing to run and to shoot. First of all, look how balanced this KMP9 is, right? No stands, no support or anything. It's perfectly balanced the way it is, and as it should be. And because it's made out of full polymer, it's lightweight, it's durable, it's flexible, but it also feels really great in the hands. I love how the pistol grip is molded into your hands when you pick it up. And even their integrated foregrip over here, it's kind of canted at a slight angle, so it just gives you a really nice ergonomic feel. It makes you feel very confident when you're holding that gun. But also along the top, you have a nice optics rail, so you can mount whatever optics you want, and on the side, you have your accessories mount for any flashlights or lasers your heart desires. Now moving towards the rear, you have this really nice folding stock. One nice detail that I think that KWA included in their KMP9 is that when you fold the stock over, if you notice here where the foregrip meets the end of the stock, they have this little cutout, so that way if you wrap your thumb around the foregrip, it feels really comfortable in the hands. Honestly, I've never used the KMP9 with the stock folded like this. I've always leave it extended because it looks cooler, and it just really reminds me of the OG Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, my favorite secondary to go to. One interesting thing that I see about the KMP9 is that all the fire controls are all kind of centered around your thumb, where like a traditional handgun would be. So your magazine release is kind of where you would expect to see in like a Glock style or a high kappa style pistol, where you could easily access it with your thumb. Even your safety is kind of located where your thumb would be, which is really easy to use. And you have your bolt release, again, very accessible with the thumb. You can pretty much operate this entire gun just using your shooting hand. Very convenient to do. And they even have this double trigger safety, which is an interesting feature. One gripe that I have about the KMP9 is the iron sights. Extremely low profile, especially if you're going to be using any kind of lower face protection, or God forbid a paintball mask. You're going to have a really hard time looking down these iron sights. So most of the time you're either not going to be aiming, or you're probably going to have to run an optic to use this effectively. Internally, this is using KWA's NS2 system. I don't want to say it's their newest system because it's not new by any means. It's been around for years. However, the good thing is that there are some amount of aftermarket support parts that you could purchase, again, in the aftermarket. And also KWA has been supporting this platform for a long time, so if you wanted to replace any damaged parts, KWA still has parts on hand that you can buy from them directly to repair your KMP9 if it ever tends to go down. That, and also a lot of companies have started to come out with low power nozzles and bolt assemblies for your KMP9, which is really cool to see. So that way you can get this thing, which again shoots pretty hot. It shoots outside of that 350 FPS limit. You can bring that down into the lower chronoing airsoft field regulations, which is cool. And some companies even make aftermarket mock suppressors for your KMP9, which looks absolutely killer. Out of the box, KWA does provide you with the 50 round magazine, which is pretty nice. Again, not enough ammo, especially for a gas SMG, but thankfully KWA does sell a lot of these again after the fact. And I love just shoving the magazine in. It's just such a satisfying thing to do. And shooting this thing, it is pretty snappy, especially the way that this like muzzle device is out of the box. It just kind of amplifies the sound. It's pretty intimidating to listen to, especially when you shoot it in full auto. And I will say that with the NS2 system, I think the gas efficiency is pretty decent, especially if you're not full auto mag dumping. You can probably get at least 1.5 mags per single fill of green gas. As far as range and accuracy goes, I would say that the KMP9 is somewhat viable for that outdoor gameplay. Obviously, because of the shorter barrel, you're not going to have as much range and accuracy as like a full-length airsoft rifle, but I would say that reasonably you could still compete in an outdoor environment. But if you're interested in picking up the KWA KMP9, you might be wondering, how much does this thing cost? Well, right now at airsoftgi.com, the KWA KMP9 NS2 gas blowback SMG is retailing for $290, and make sure to take advantage of a Wombo combo for free shipping and reward store credit. $290. Bro, like that's straight up like 2009, 2010 pricing, probably when this thing first came out. The price really hasn't changed, which is pretty crazy to see because airsoft guns in general over the years kind of go up gradually in cost with inflation. So getting a full gas blowback SMG for under $300 is kind of a steal. But I will say this, KWA has told us that these are available in limited quantities now. They're planning on moving away from this platform as a whole. So if you really want one of these, I would recommend snatching one up as soon as possible, because once they're gone, they're gone. The next gas blowback airsoft SMG on this list is going to be the European cousin of the KMP9 by KWA. This is the VOR Airsoft VMP1 gas blowback SMG. This is obviously like the European knockoff of the KWA KMP9. I mean, it's literally like VOR's copied KWA's homework, but changed the answers a little bit to make it look a little bit more distinct. I mean, even from the footprint of the gun, it looks a little boxier, a little chunkier than the KMP9, but you could definitely see that they do share the same DNA. I mean, even with the fire controls, the mag release, the fire selector, and the bolt release can all be actuated with your firing hand, which is really cool to see. And they even have their chunkier, I guess, the front end of the gun is a little more boxy looking, so it's not as organic looking as the KMP9, but definitely they do give you more options compared to the KMP9. I mean, they give you a longer top reel for more optic space or more accessory space. You could realistically probably mount flashlights or lasers on the top rail if you choose to. They even give you Picatinny rails on both sides of the front end of the gun. So if you're left or right-handed, you can mount those accessories wherever you want. And on the bottom, they don't just limit you to that foregrip that comes out of the box with the KMP9. They do give you that Picatinny rail space, so you can put whatever foregrip device that you want to put on the bottom. And moving down towards the rear, you do have, I guess you would say, like a folding stock. It's again way chunkier, not as organic or not as graceful looking as the KMP9, but it does get the job done. Addressing the stock again is not as organic or as graceful looking as the KMP9, but it still folds. I mean, it's kind of a chore because you have to like do the thing where you lift up the hinge to activate it. There you go, and then you can fold it. And then to redeploy it, you have to push up on the hinge and get it to lock into place. It's just, yeah, there's no way that you would do that on an airsoft field. So realistically, you'd only be storing the gun in the folded configuration, and you'll be deploying it way before you play your game of airsoft. But even just aesthetically, like, I don't know what this like fake weird like buffer tube wannabe like tube thing is. It just kind of looks really blocky and chunky, and what is this? This flimsy swiveling pistol brace. Like, what's the point of this? But the most egregious crime of all are going to be these iron sights. Not, I mean, they're cool because you see these nice glowing fiber optic 3-dot sights, but they're impossible to use. You need an optic to use this effectively. Internally is also where the VMP1 again shares that DNA with the KMP9, because they claim that this is KMP9 NS2 compatible. So a lot of their internal components are going to be cross-compatible with each other, which is cool because, again, the KMP9 has been around for a long time and there is some level of aftermarket support, which is cool. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of their internal components can be swapped with KWA original OEM parts. Now, the biggest test is going to be the magazine, because they do give you that 50-round extendo magazine here. And down here next to me is going to be the KWA NS2 KMP9. It's going to do a little mag compatibility check. It locks. It locks perfectly. Yeah. Great, yeah. I mean, they're both compatible. Now to see the other way around, will this accept? Oh, it does, and it locks. Yeah, they're using identical magazine designs, so that way they're cross-compatible, which is really cool to see. So if you are planning on getting more magazines for the VMP1, you have options available to you, which is cool to see. Performance-wise, I would say that this is pretty snappy to shoot in semi-auto, and the full auto rate of fire is very reminiscent of the KMP9. Well, because they're using very similar internals. I will say, I might be a little biased here, but I will say that the KWA KMP9 is a little more snappier, a little more poppier, if you will, on full auto and semi-auto compared to the VMP1. But I would say just shooting this thing on semi-auto and full auto is still a lot of fun, and honestly, I'm just splitting hairs at this point. They shoot almost identical to each other. If you know anything about VOR Airsoft, they provide hella value out of the box, whether they give you a ton of accessories good to go right out of the box. I mean, some of their pistols even come with red dot sights, if you can believe that. So where does this stand when it comes to price and the value? Well, right now at airsoftgi.com, the VOR's VMP1 gas bucket SMG is retailing for $223, and make sure to take advantage of our Wombo combo so you get automatic free shipping and reward store credit. See what I mean? The V in VORSK stands for value. You're pretty much getting almost the KWA KMP9, but significantly cheaper. But if you're really on that budget and you want a full auto gas blowback SMG without breaking the bank, I honestly think that you cannot go wrong with the VMP1. The next gas blowback SMG, and arguably one of the coolest on the market today, is going to be the Elite Force officially licensed HK UMP gas blowback SMG. The HK UMP. It's like one of the black sheep when it comes to the family of SMGs as a platform. I mean, they've been everywhere. They've been in so many different movies and video games. Let me tell you, this gas blowback UMP, oh man, like if you've never shot one of these before, I highly encourage you to do so, because it may change your life and make you bankrupt. This has a full polymer construction receiver, which is, again, true to life to the real thing, and it's reinforced internally with metal like the real thing. They even give you that nice top-mounted optics rail for whatever optics you want to run on this thing. They give you the tri-rail here on the handguard for the left, right, and bottom side of the handguard, so you can mount whatever accessories your heart desires. And they even have this iconic folding stock, which opens and closes very easily, very smoothly, and you feel super badass deploying this thing on the airsoft field. Now, one thing I will say though is that they do include the typical hold open style charging handle you can see on a lot of classic HK guns. However, this thing does not HK slap. Do not do this because this does have a functioning bolt release here on the other side of the gun, and you get the ambidextrous selector, which if you look carefully has 2-round burst. That's right, I said 2-round burst. This has a mechanical 2-round burst feature, so you have on your ambi safety, you have your safe, your semi-automatic, your 2-round burst, and then your full auto. I will say, because Elite Force only gives you a 30-round magazine out of the box, shooting even in full auto or even 2-round burst, you're going to run through your magazines pretty quickly. The last couple things about this UMP is going to be that the iron sights are, thank God, very usable. Because they're one-to-one spec with the real thing, the iron sights thankfully are somewhat usable. But again, why would you run iron sights when you can just get an optic? Just put an optic on this bad boy and you're good to go. The performance on the Elite Force UMP is kind of what you would expect out of the box for a gas blowback SMG. Because of that shortened inner barrel, or the barrel length overall, you're not gonna be as accurate or have as much range as a lot of the full-length rifles you would see out there on the airsoft field, and this is shooting pretty hot out of the box. To my knowledge, I don't think Elite Force or any other company makes low-power bolt assemblies or nozzle assemblies for this gun, and this gun is shooting at the 400 FPS mark, so you are kind of forced to use this outdoors out of the box, which isn't a bad thing. I still think, due to the range and accuracy of this thing, it does compete still. It is still very viable to use on the outdoor airsoft field. Just don't try to snipe with this thing. You could feel the vibrations of the bolt like in the pistol grip, and it absolutely kicks like a mule. It is one of the very few gas blowback SMGs that recoils harder than a lot of gas blowback rifles out there. The Elite Force officially licensed HK UMP gas blowback SMG is currently retailing at Airsoft GI for $390. Make sure to take advantage of the Wombo combo for free shipping and reward store credit. $390, I mean, that is probably the most expensive gas blowback SMG on our list today, and for good reason, because this is an officially licensed product from Elite Force. You can definitely expect to pay a little extra for getting that officially licensed replica. However, shooting this thing again, the experience is like no other. It shoots like no other gas SMG I've ever shot in my time playing airsoft. Listen to how this thing shoots. Absolutely intimidating. The final gas blowback SMG on our list is going to be the KWA M11 A1 NS2. The Mach 11, one of the most iconic submachine guns of yesteryear, and by that I mean the 80s and the 90s. I mean, come on, just look at this thing. It's just screaming that retro nostalgia. But at the end of the day, this is the coolest gas blowback SMG on my list that just tops all the other options, and I'll tell you why in a second. But come on, man, we gotta start with KWA and we end with KWA.
We didn't start with KWA.
Hey, you shut your... Externally, if you look at the M11 A1, there's not much to look at yet. Actually, at the same time, there's a lot to actually take in. If you look at the top of the body of the M11 A1, you'll notice the charging handle, and if you notice here at the bolt cover, you're going to notice that it's open, it's locked open, and that's because this is an open bolt design airsoft gun, meaning that you need to lock the bolt to the rear before you insert your magazine. And also, if you notice, if you fire in between shots, the bolt is going to stay locked to the rear. Again, this is the open bolt design, meaning that as soon as the bolt rides forward, it's going to fire the round, and then the recoil is going to take the bolt back and keep it locked there until you fire your next round. I believe that's also how the real Mach 11 works in real life, so that's cool to see. If you look also at the top again, you'll notice that you'll see the standard Mach 11 style iron sights, but who's using the sights? Why would you don't need to use the sights. We'll get to that in a minute, okay? But also, you'll see towards the bottom of the body of the gun, there are two separate selectors. There's your safety and then your fire selector. So over here on the camera side, you'll see the switch that's gonna flip your gun from safe to fire. And then on the other side of the gun, you'll notice, I guess you'll say like an M4 style selector that can help you switch from semi-auto to full auto. And then if you look at the tip of the M11, you'll see some threads on the outer barrel, and that's to accept aftermarket M11 style mock suppressors. Pretty sweet. Moving down towards the rear of the outer barrel, you're going to notice this little swivel plate, okay? This little swivel plate has a little loop on it, and that is actually for your foregrip. So you might be wondering, how does a foregrip work on a Mach 11 or this M11 A1, for example? Well, this is actually meant for you to loop, I guess you would say, like a piece of sling, and once you have that loop, that's your foregrip. So if you loop a little piece of fabric over here, you hold it like that, and that's how you stabilize the gun when you fire it, if you choose to use it that way. And now let's talk about the stock. The stock does fold open with the wire, so you have to pinch the stock closed in order to fold it all the way up. And if you want to deploy it, to pinch it, and then you can swivel it down. And then there's a button here at the bottom to extend the stock to its extended position. But I'm just gonna be honest with you, if you run the stock here on the M11, I will not respect you. There's only one right way to do it. You delete the stock. Don't even use it. Use it like the mini brick it's supposed to be. So now that the stock is out of the way, let's talk about how this thing shoots. This thing is an absolute monster. I'm not kidding you. This is bordering on unethical when it comes to using this for airsoft use. The fire rate on this bad boy in full auto is ludicrous. You will dump this 50 round magazine in less than a second. There are videos of people running this in full auto. Again, that 50 round magazine goes by in a second. So if you were to use this in airsoft field, honestly, I would implore you to use this on semi-auto, because again, the rate of fire is ridiculous, and you're gonna end up unintentionally mag dumping a poor unsuspecting player on the field. But again, like I mentioned earlier, 50 round magazine with green gas. If you full auto mag dump this, expect to wait like half an hour for the mag to warm back up, because the cooldown effect on this thing is real. The shooting feel of this gun is pretty fun. I mean, even on semi-auto, it is pretty snappy. It feels exactly like, I guess you would say, like a snappy high kappa. The bolt cycles very quickly, and on full auto, I mean, all bets are off. Like, before you blink, the magazine is empty on this thing. But I will say, even the pistol grip, just holding it, for how blocky this thing looks, it's strangely comfortable. And I'd say, like, if you were to buy like a fabric style holster without the stock, you could easily stow this away. And again, I think this will be ideal for a sidearm for any like bolt action sniper there that wants to have that level of firepower up close. Well, as of right now at airsoftgi.com, the Kitty M11 A1 NS2 gas blowback SMG is retailing for $200 at airsoftgi.com, and make sure to take advantage of our Wombo combo for free shipping and reward store credit. $200 for an absolute BB hose of an airsoft gun is kinda hard to beat. Surprisingly very cheap, and especially for something that fires this fast, for something that can unload an unethical amount of BBs in less than a second, I'd say definitely a really cool airsoft novelty to have. Now, I'm saying this for like the 5th time. Please, for the love of God, do not shoot this full auto at somebody. Like, it is really going to ruin their day. But if you want to just show off to your friends in your backyard or at the test range at an airsoft field, by all means, you know, let that gun rip. I'm very happy that KWA is still supplying us with these M11 A1s, because when they came out, they kind of broke the airsoft market and kind of took it by storm. So it's cool to see that this little piece of airsoft history is still around and alive and kicking today. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking out my list of my favorite and coolest gas blowback SMGs on the airsoft market today. I will say, for as niche of a platform the gas blowback SMG is in the airsoft field, I'm very happy that a lot of companies are still standing by them and supporting them to this day and still making really cool gas blowback SMGs. So again, if you guys like what you're seeing, please make sure to hit the like button as well as subscribing and ringing that bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video. If you want to support us directly, if you like the content that you're seeing and you would like to keep that camera rolling and these lights on, please make sure to stop by Airsoft GI for all your airsoft needs, including all of our sweet and diverse gas blowback SMG platforms. My name is Boaz, and we'll see you next time, Mail Gang.